Hey everybody, welcome back to the QC. I'm your host Swanka, and we'll be bringing in our esteemed guest in just a moment. Until then, a quick word from our friends.
This is Luke Goss, and this is one of my favorite places to check out all things movie. Check it out. This is the QC.
Hey, this is Nick Smith. You're watching the QC, the best in entertainment, reviews, and more. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
So we're going to be talking Book of Boba Fett today and running down some of our top picks for 2021, some of our favorites as we stride into 2022. So let's go ahead and bring in our guest in no particular order. I will start with Julie. How's it going, Julie?
It's freezing in Texas, so the world is upside down.
Gotcha. Okay. I feel like it's either freezing or it's like blazing hot everywhere. or there's like tornadoes and just all kinds of madness going on. Next, we'll bring in the lead singer for Island Asylum, Anthony.
What's up, man? It's good
How's
to
it
see
going,
your
bud?
face. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah, man, it's been a while. It's good to interact with you after we've been trying to have this Star Wars conversation. I feel like for a couple of years now, so I'm glad we're
Right on. Hey, better late than never, man.
Absolutely. And last but not least, one of my favorite personal voices in entertainment journalism, Steve in Geekface.
Hi everyone, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year! How you doing, bud?
I hope it wasn't good. Can't wait to talk about this particular new Star Wars program we just saw a couple of days ago. Oh, yeah?
Yes. So with no further ado, we'll jump right in. So do you guys want to just give me your overall review, impression, Book of Boba Fett? What did you guys think?
Who wants to go first?
No one wants to go first. I'll go first. What the heck? I'm the new guy. I loved it. I think I've seen some folks say that they were underwhelmed because they thought it was boring or slow. And first off, it's a first episode. That always happens to every first episode. Everybody says that. I think for a first episode, it was incredible. It's everything we wanted. Questions answered. And I'll let someone else talk.
Yeah, it's a canon about the show that I'm not really familiar with. So Swanka and I had this conversation. I was like, he was totally killed in Star Wars. Why is Boba Fett showing up after Return of the Jedi? So I was completely confusing him with Greedo. I don't know why. I thought Han Solo shot him in the Mos Eisley Cantina. So I went into this really knowing very little about it, but I think it's really cool that they're showing such a very different side, the criminal underbelly of Tatooine and how they're it's going to be an interesting story with Boba Fett trying to play the ethical warlord. So I'm interested to see where this goes.
I thought it was okay for what we've seen so far. I am intrigued. I'm hoping it's going to be the Godfather of Star Wars, hopefully. But as it's a Disney product now, every villain or every bad guy has to go through this. We misunderstood them, so we need to understand them more. And they're not really a bad guy. They're just complicated, So I feel like it could go either way. But in terms of first episode, it was okay. I was a fan of the Mandalorian that came before, where he was featured in it. It was a really great way of bringing him in, introducing him, reminding people, because this whole myth about, I think seeing him on the screen and hearing about him are complete thing. We've got this whole myth of Boba Fett being this badass character, but in the films, he falls inside the pit like a jackass. It's not really badass. So hopefully this show shows him in a good light. So far, it's not. He's made some silly mistakes I wouldn't do as a crime lord, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed the series premiere, Book of Boba Fett. I think the character of Boba Fett is very fascinating because you think about he became famous for not really doing a whole lot other than being killed pretty unceremoniously and just having a very minor, short screen role in the movies, and then just turning into this like mythical figure. So I think it's really cool that they're taking that character and now actually fleshing out his background and, you know, kind of piggybacking on the Mandalorian. I love the Mandalorian. I think anybody who follows this channel knows that. And I feel like Mandalorian kind of brought the Star Wars property back after some struggles with the prequel trilogy and just those movies being just so challenged from a creative standpoint and behind the scenes with J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy and that whole push and pull. That's a whole other conversation. But
you're being really nice.
yeah, exactly. So The Mandalorian, to me, you know, a sublime show. And I really, the thing that I'm actually very curious about, and I'm going to ask you guys, this kind of segues into my next question, is how is this show going to separate itself from The Mandalorian? Because I mean, I love The Mandalorian. I think it's a great, you know, Star Wars Western, the same kind of tone that we expect. But is Book of Boba Fett just going to be more of the same? How's it going to stand out? How's it going to kind of chart its own path and not just be another Mandalorian, which is still a good thing, but I don't know. I'm kind of curious. Do you think Book of Boba Fett is going to stand on its own, or is this going to be The Mandalorian? It's just starring Boba Fett instead of Jim Darn?
Well, I mean, I thought The Mandalorian was, for me, was the answer to Boba Fett, as the Boba Fett character had been tainted with silly things like falling inside the pit, and you know, just dumb things. And so I thought this was when they did The Mandalorian. This is a great chance for them to kind of show, especially this, you know, this community of Mandos to be badass. And I thought they did a good job. And they had Baby Yoda as well, little Guru, to, you know, get the family people involved who probably wasn't interested in the character. But in terms of Boba Fett, I just think this is for the hardcore fans. I don't think it's going to do anything particularly special. As I said, I'm hoping it's the Godfather of Star Wars, because that would just be badass. But we'll see what happens from there. I don't know.
I agree, and I think you also made a great point earlier with this whole Marvel Disney. Every bad guy is really a good guy now, and you got to feel bad for the bad guy, and I think it got a little played out, and I was worried about that with the Tusken Raiders, the Sand People. I thought The Mandalorian, even though it's a great show, it started to worry me, because I'm like, all right, now they're gonna humanize the Sand People, and I was worried they were going to go a little too far with that. But then, you know, Book of Boba Fett showed us, no, they're brutal. They're still brutal. They might have a code, but they are horrible, disgusting people, and that's what they should be.
Strong words. Well, I think what I think will really differentiate it is if they give him, like, what's his goal? What's his mission? Like, if he's not trying to save a child, I think they could do a lot, you know, like in having like a hero's quest. I think they can do a lot as to like, why is he here? What is he trying to do? What is his end goal? So I think there's a lot of room, since he is setting himself up as the, you know, he's replacing Jabba, he's replacing Bib Fortuna. So I think there's a lot of possibilities as to have, you know, like, I love the ethical bad guy story, but I also, you know, to someone's point earlier, he made a few big mistakes. Like, he should have killed that guy, like straight up, should have killed him, like lost his footing right there. So I'll be interested to see how he recovers or not from that mistake.
I think people forget too that Boba Fett has another history in canon, not just, you know, the books that have now become legend. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him now, because, you know, he had an arc in Clone Wars cartoon that's now canon. Well, it's always been canon. He had an arc in Rebels, I believe, that was canon, and it kind of shows you that he's never really a bad guy. He's always sort of an anti-hero in his own way, and he's always sort of had that ethical mindset. Like, I'm not going to kill someone for no reason. Give me a reason, I'll kill anyone. But there's definitely a struggle within him at all times, and it goes back to, like, even when he's a kid teenager and, you know, young adult as well. So I think they're going to keep that. Like, I don't think we're going to see the totally brutal Boba Fett by any stretch. And then you add in the Disney thing, and yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is Disney property. So the one thing, I really enjoyed the first episode. I thought, you know, showing him finally escaping the Sarlacc pit, letting us finally see what happened was a great way to kind of start to show off. One thing I did kind of see as stood out to me in not a good way was the first episode of Mandalorian. If you guys recall, they introduced Grogu. Of course, we didn't know who he was at the time, but we knew that he was a baby Yoda, and that was kind of like the cliffhanger, really like the big hook of like, oh my God, there's going to be a Yoda species, which we've never seen outside of Yoda, right? In canon. I didn't feel like they had anything like that in this episode that really is like getting me like, oh my God, I really want to see what's going to happen next. Maybe they'll do it next episode, who knows? But I would have liked to have seen them do that again, and because there's so much to pull from, you know, it's Star Wars, right? There's a million different directions they can go. And they chose not to do that with the first episode of Book of Boba Fett, which I thought was a little bit surprising and a missed opportunity maybe. But what do you guys think about that?
I think because it's Boba Fett, like the name itself, people are still going to come back to watch it. With The Mandalorian, it's new. We don't know. People are not familiar with this whole, unless you follow Clone Wars, Rebels, understand that whole community. And then I think for that one, the selling point was Baby Yoda Guru, as you like call him. That was the selling point. So they had to end it with that. And people were like, oh, what's going on? Who's this little miniature Yoda with Boba Fett? It's just literally, it's the name. So we're gonna see, because I'm angry with him at the moment. He's made some silly mistakes in that first episode. I mean, you didn't learn from Jabba the Hutt. The Jabba the Hutt, he stayed indoors for a reason. There's a reason why he got large. He stayed indoors. He didn't just walk on the road. No weapons and things. It's fine. You know, it's cool. I mean, you had the mayor assistant, who is my favorite character so far. He was fantastic. You know, giving him that slack. You know, all right, okay, cool. We'll leave, but you know, the mayor might be disappointed with your decision. That's fine. And he didn't think, you know, I'm going to walk on. Yeah, he might make a visit. He might come for a cup of tea, and might be something else, some killing, some bloodshed. I don't know. But he just thought, yeah, I'll just go for a stroll, go to the local club, get some money, and go home. No, with those two, what were they? Pigs? I forgot what their breed is. But yeah, so I'm going to, but with Boba, because it's Boba Fett anyway, I'm going to see what's going on. I probably think they should have probably done 2 episodes. Like aired the 2 first episodes to kind of just get people going, like especially with it's Christmas as well. We're all like hungry. We just finished with Hawkeye, and you know, people are after their feed. I should have done that, but like I said, the name will get people to still to come and see what the next episode, because people are hoping that this is the Boba Fett they've been waiting for, the one we've been hearing about in all kinds of tales. Is this the Boba Fett we've been waiting for? So we'll see.
Do we know what day of the week they were doing new episodes? Is it Wednesdays now for Disney Plus?
Wednesday. That's their day. That's Disney's day. They always put Wednesday.
Okay. All right, so we got a few days. Cool. Do you guys have any final thoughts or anything about Book of Boba Fett that stood out to you that you wanted to mention?
I love that the Gamoran guards are just doing their job. You know, you're loyal to the last 2. Will you be loyal to me? Yes. And then they got to prove it. I thought that was pretty sweet. They're another character like Boba. You don't see very much of them, but you remember them distinctly. And then you know, Boba Fett. I could be slightly off on this, but I think it's only like 4 to 6 minutes of screen time total in that first trilogy, and only 4 spoken words or lines, 4 lines throughout the whole trilogy. And now we have a whole series based on him. He was a toy before he was in the movie. They teased him in a toy line before Empire came out. So that minute he was on screen, everybody was going absolutely nuts. He was so hyped up before that film. And then you see him for 4 minutes and it's like, oh, all right, I guess that's our guy. But I mean, there's something about this character that just sticks to everyone. And I'm very excited to see more. I think they're going to do a great job with it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. Did you guys pick up on the fact that so that four-arm beast thing that they fought, they used some of the old school. They mixed in obviously traditional modern technology with also. You guys know Ray Harryhausen?
No.
So he's a guy he's kind of like the godfather of stop motion animation. So remember how when we were kids,
Oh,
watching,
like Clash of the Titans
right, Clash of the Titans, that
yeah.
really specific type of like movement of like stop motion animation. He kind of was like the progenitor of that, if you will. So they
did he do RoboCop? What was that big robot in RoboCop?
I know you're talking about. I think Ray Harryhausen had retired by then. He might even have died by then.
Right.
But he's because he was like, these movies came out in the 50s and 60s that he was known for. So I imagine he's expired by now. I should know that. But bottom line, they duplicated some of that technology or some of the feel of Ray Harryhausen stop motion for that character, which I thought was like a cool nod to like the past and mixing in the modern technology, the latest and greatest, which you get with Disney, of course, with this like old style of stop motion animation. And it looked kind of herky jerky, but it was an intentional thing. And I kind of found that out after the fact. And I just was curious if you guys had noticed that and kind of had an appreciation for what they did by basically a love letter to Harryhausen with that character, with that monster.
Oh, okay.
So they were giving tribute to him essentially by doing that. That's cool. I didn't know about that. I did notice it looked a little wonky, but I was so focused. I'm like, he's doing what Leia did to Jabba. I was freaking out about that. I didn't think about it much further.
Right. Yeah. But no, I was watching another video, honestly, on YouTube, and I saw someone point that out. And I was like, yeah. And I actually went back and watched it. And I was like, yeah, definitely. They intentionally made it look kind of like low fidelity in certain points as a very specific call out to those movies back in the day, which is cool. You know what I mean? I thought that was pretty cool. So, all right. So moving on, we are now in 2022, which is crazy because I feel like 2020 and 2021 just kind of blew by.
One big blur.
But so keeping that in mind that we are now in the new year, what was your favorite movies of 2021? Anything stand out to you, or if you had to recommend one movie in particular, like what are you guys going with?
Swanka, I think you know what my pick is going to be. Which fighting words will be coming. Yeah, I loved Dune. I am a fan of the books. I thought visually the movie was one of the most stunning things that I have ever seen. It was the first movie that I have seen in the theater in the last 2 years. So, I mean, for me, it was a breathtaking return to not just streaming something on TV. So I'm going with Dune.
I'm going to go with King Richard. That was my favorite film. I'm a sucker for anything that's a tearjerker. That got me several times in that film. For Will Smith's performance was probably his best I've seen for a long, probably since Pursuit of Happiness. I just thought it was a really good message. Yeah, I had all that black girl magic. So that's the film I'm going to recommend. I've watched it time and time again. So yeah, that's the one for me.
I was terrible with movies in 2021. You're gonna have to skip me on this one. I saw a few. I'm still in streaming mode. I haven't been back to the theaters yet. So I'm kind of down on movies still. I could talk about TV though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're gonna go there next. So for me, I know there's some recency bias with this choice, but I'm going Spider-Man: No Way Home. And I was one of the only people that went into that movie. Honestly, I like the Spider-Man films. I like Tom Holland. But I'm not like crazy about the Spider-Man movies in general. I actually kind of like Andrew Garfield. He's always been my favorite Spider-Man, even which I know is a bit controversial because people tend to pick Tobey Maguire. But long story short, I didn't go in with the same kind of like crazy expectations that everybody else did, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was brilliant what they did, bringing in Tobey Maguire, bringing in Andrew Garfield, doing it in a way that made sense. Kind of treating Tobey Maguire as like the drunk uncle of Spider-Man.
Did you just spoil it?
I
think Julie hasn't seen it yet.
Come on, no, we're way past spoilers for Spider-Man: No Way Home. There's no way if you're on the internet.
I just eyes just pop out my head. That was brilliant.
Look, that movie's been out for like 2 or 3 weeks now. Like,
I've been busy, man. I've been busy.
Oh wow!
I
Oh
don't know how you could possibly have avoided that at this point.
Wow.
I did.
Oh
All right.
wow!
Well, I mean, I've already gone there, so I'm sorry. But yeah, so I really like that movie, and I thought um, the whole idea of bringing those universes together, it's just again, it's one of those things where we keep seeing these things happen where they're bringing in characters and mixing in whatnot, mixing in the universes like with Spider-Man and Venom and all that kind of stuff, and you always think it's never going to happen. You think it's like this fan fiction, like something you would think about, in your imagination, and now we're seeing these things happen. You know what I mean? So I think we're just going to be seeing more and more of this, and it's going to become like just a race to see who can do the most like shared universes that probably weren't shared universes when they first came up with them, but now how can we fold in movies that maybe had no connection? Now they will, and I think that's this is an exciting opportunity to be creative, which I think is good. So, all right. So moving on to shows, and we'll start with you, Anthony, since you didn't get a chance for the movies.
Favorite shows of 2021. Obviously, I go Mando. That pretty much tops my list. Other than that, I've been sticking to really stupid TV. I decided this year I don't want to think much when I watch TV. I want to like be creative when I have to be creative and write songs and stuff. So anything like Breaking Bad type shows, Game of Thrones type shows that I'm typically very, very into, I just haven't done this year at all. So it's been just silly comedies and comic book shows. So I'll go Mando as a firm number one.
Okay.
I'm gonna choose Squid Game. Squid Game was the one for me this year. That was just up my alley. I've seen other programs and films like it, and to see that so much people got involved, and people are dressing up as some of the characters, and the ending was a bit off, but overall I had a good time. Yeah, it was twisted, but the right type of twisted, and it showed humanity in its ugly side, which we all love. So that was the one for me, Squid Game.
Did you guys watch Squid Game, Julie, Anthony? Did you guys watch that?
Mm-mm.
Highly
What's
recommend.
Did you watch Squid Game?
No, for the exact reason I mentioned. I knew I wanted to see it, but I'm like, I can't deal with that right now. Like the real world is so horrible. I don't need that.
I'm in the same space.
Yeah, it's a show that I've obviously you can't escape Squid Game in 2021, but been meaning to watch it, so definitely gonna try to jump on that at some point. But to your point, Anthony and Julie as well, it definitely, I don't know. I feel like the haves and the have-nots, like it's just a reminder of like the wealth divide, and that's not just in the U.S. Obviously, it's happening other places in the world too. So it's kind of depressing, but I guess that's life, right?
Pretty much.
All right. So favorite shows of 2021, and it's funny when I was going through and looking at some of the shows that I watched, I was like, man, I feel like that was like 3 years ago, and no, it was 2021. So WandaVision, my favorite show of 2021, came out in January. So, it's pretty far back, but, I don't really know what else there is to say at this point. I think Elizabeth Olsen was a revelation playing the Scarlet Witch. And spoiler, if you haven't watched WandaVision, she becomes the Scarlet Witch. And Ted Lasso, of course, one of my favorite shows, just the feel-good show of ever. I mean, if you're in a bad mood, Ted Lasso is going to cheer you up just because he's the most cheery person ever. And just the premise and the characters, everything. I mean, the show's won at this point, has won all kinds of awards, so no great secrets there. And then lastly, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Again, a show that came out in March of 2021, which feels like, I don't know, in my mind, like it was 2 or 3 years ago, but again, it was 2021. Just really liked it. Thought Anthony Mackie was great as the lead. I thought Sebastian Stan was great as a sidekick, and some of the themes they covered, as far as that the original Captain America was actually a black man who had been subjugated, and the whole the way they handled that and touched upon that and brought that story to the brought that to Disney Plus, a story that was only in the comics prior. I thought they handled that really well, and just really enjoyed that show.
I was shocked they went there with the storyline. I didn't think they were gonna really touch on some particular subjects. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but they went there. I was like, oh, okay, all right, Disney, ballsy from there. So yeah, that's another one I didn't show. Two more I forgot. I want to recommend as well. A one called Midnight Mass. That was twisted. Julie wasn't pleased. That was
not
twisted.
Impressed. Not impressed. Vampires, really? There was the whole world of horror to pull from. And he was a vampire. That was the biggest letdown that I have ever seen in the longest.
Wait, so what? Okay, so what is this show? What is this?
So it's basically.
Even I'll let you take the lead.
It's a show where it's this little small town, deserted town, where they all of a sudden weird things happening. People start to heal, and they think it's God related, and it becomes almost a cult. But it's something completely different when you get into it. It's just really dark and twisted, and vampires and all kinds of stuff happening. It's crazy. But yeah, I enjoyed it because it just was like, I wanted shock value this year. I wanted something to just get my mind off what was going on. And that was one of them. That was just brilliant. Another one was Invincible, the animated superhero show, which was just...
I gotta finish that. I'm
that is great. That is just entertainment. They're talking about making it into a live action. If they do, they need to be on the same... Invincible.
Invincible. Okay, I haven't even heard of it.
It's written by one of the writers for The Walking Dead. This anime show, TV, but it's for adults. Focuses on this kid who finds out his father's a superhero, and it trains him. Looking in, it looks like it's a really cheap version of Sky High. If anyone saw that Disney film back in the day, but it's something very complicated. It gets really dark, some really cool characters, and the violence. Yeah, you're probably going to need a bucket beside you because it gets really in depth. So what I highly recommend. That was one of the shows this year anyway for me.
You just reminded me. Speaking of cartoons for adults, has anyone seen Harley Quinn on HBO yet?
Oh yeah, that's
oh my goodness,
that's really good.
I didn't know she had a show on there.
It's hysterical.
Oh, it's
absolutely
really
hysterical. It's animated. It's set in its own thing, and it's animated, and it's very much for adults. That's all I'll say, and it is. You will laugh.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll add on. Oh, go on.
No, go ahead.
I'm going to add on a Spanish horror from Spain, a Spanish horror series on HBO Max called 30 Coins. And I love, so Stephen, this was why I was so disappointed in Midnight Mass, because I love a good Catholic horror show. It's very, very niche interest of mine. But same thing. It's a town where things start to happen. They think it's God. They call in a priest. There's a secret society. There's, people turn evil. People turn into other people. Like people haven't been who you thought they were this whole time. So yeah, it is. Now that was horror done really well. So I looked forward to the show every week when it would come out. So I'm thinking there's going to be a season 2. I'm not sure. But then also to echo Swanka, Ted Lasso was the other one where I was like, oh my God, it's Friday night. I'm staying in. This is a feel good show. That was like the thing that I looked forward to most during that season run. So.
All right. So I'm going to throw a curveball at you guys because I know I hadn't mentioned this to you coming into the stream, and I'll go first to give you guys some time to think about it. But worst movies that you saw in 2021. There's two that stand out to me. One of which is recent, one of which was earlier in the year. The first one, which is earlier in the year, was a movie on Netflix called Thunder Force. I don't know if you guys ever heard of this one.
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
I don't know how I sat through that entire film because I think I got bamboozled because I just something about it, like I was like, okay, this looks okay, and then like I somehow watched the entire thing and then realized that it was like the worst thing I'd seen probably in a decade. So don't watch that. And then my other is going to be Venom: Let There Be Carnage. I just thought that movie was just, yeah. I thought it was awful, and I've talked about it on this stream before, but it's not my Venom. You know, I actually didn't hate the first Venom film. I thought it was.
Yeah, it was okay.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
You know, I could see them possibly going in a cool direction, and the trailer for Let There Be Carnage looked pretty good. But yeah, just just skip it.
Felt unnecessary.
Yeah,
Completely unnecessary. What happened?
yeah, nothing happens, and like Venom goes to a rave. It's just, I don't know. It was just really strange, like tone. No reason to see that. But what about you guys? Anything for people to avoid, like the plague from 2021?
I've got 3 on top of my head.
Okay.
I think 2 you may disagree, but I just thought they didn't work. First one is the recent Matrix Resurrections.
Ooh, provocative.
Which doesn't need to resurrect, needs to die and go away. Yeah, people keep throwing words like it's meta and it's supposed to be, you know, a FU to the companies, because they even mention Warner Brothers in the movie, you know, for making sequels and sequels. If that's the case, cool. If that's not the case, then we should stop letting the Wachowskis make any more movies, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work for them. It's not the one at all. And I just thought, once again, reminded why, you know, certain sequels should not happen. They should just leave it as it is. And I don't know why I didn't think of this before. Only 1 came back to direct, not 2, 1. So that says it already. There was maybe conflict behind doors, like, should we really make this one? So that one isn't for me. Second one would be Candyman, the recent Candyman. That was a complete floppage. It was this really long-winded speech about Black Lives Matter, and it didn't work. It didn't work for what Candyman is. Candyman's supposed to be a slasher. He needs to find his white bride, and that's it. And they started bringing all this other stuff, police brutality, but he's still killing other people for no reason. Didn't make sense. Yeah, that was not the one. And the third one would be Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Oh my god, so bad. It's so bad.
I mean, I admit the first one is bad, but it has charm. I mean, because of nostalgia, it has a little bit of charm, you know, with the characters and Michael Jordan's bland acting. But this one was just product placement every 2 seconds. Like,
and the bar is so low. I feel like Space Jam, you already have so little to accomplish to make a decent film. It was so bad.
They didn't have a basketball game. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't a basketball game. Give me at least that. And they couldn't do that. And yeah, that was not the one. I think Warner Brothers in general was probably had the worst movies this year. I mean, they were the ones pumping out the most. There's a lot that comes to mind. Mortal Kombat comes to mind as well, which was let down. There was a film with Hugh Jackman where he uses this machine to look into.
That was confusing.
What was it?
Reminiscence?
Yeah, that was it.
I didn't see it, but yeah, that also was on a lot of worst of lists that I looked at. Yeah.
And last one comes to mind. My last one. This film, it's getting a lot of praise from very prestige critics, but it doesn't fool me. Titan. That's not the one. If anyone's seen it, it got great reviews at the Cannes. It's a French movie. It's weird as hell. So you will not see where this film is going. So I give it that. Involves someone having sex with a car. Literally having sex with a car. Yeah. I'll leave it as that.
Well, I'm in. I'm invested.
You're like signing me up right now.
I think you should check it out anyway and see if you do like it, but it wasn't one for me at all. But people have praised it. It's got in people's top list movies. You know, it's different. It's shock value. But yeah, that I didn't need that type of shock value at all. But yeah, you might enjoy it. I just don't think it's one of the ones to.
What about you guys, Julie, Anthony? Anything in 2021?
Nothing comes to mind as being just horrible or objectionable other than Midnight Mass, which, like, when I got to the reveal, I was like, oh, I'm not even finishing this show.
The only one that hasn't been spoken about, I agree about Space Jam. That was tough to get through, man. And I know they didn't make it for me, right? They made it for 10-year-olds, but I don't know, man. I feel like adults could still get into the old one even back then. It was just tough to watch. The only cool thing, like, what's that?
I was just saying, I'm not buying the whole they made it for kids, because they had a rap scene and that was no kids would get the music and the whole that was not for kids. That was for us. They know it as
Fair
well.
enough.
They're like,
yeah, it was rough. The only cool thing is that the algorithm is the bad guy. I like that, but it was just so poorly done. Absolutely horrible. The next one, Mortal Kombat. I might be a little biased on this one because, again, the old ones are really, really bad too. But
not the original.
They're bad in a great way, I'll say.
Hey, the original one has charm. It has charm.
They recently, Warner Brothers recently did, it was like a Scorpion Origins animation. And I saw that before seeing the movie, and I'm like, man, if they just would have adapted that cartoon, this movie would have been a million times better. And then the last one I have, I might get beat up for, but I don't like what they did with Black Widow. I feel like everybody was waiting for a Black Widow movie. I wanted a Black Widow movie so bad. And I felt like what we got is just like, all right, we can cram this garbage in between the second Captain America, and you got to wait until she's dead to have the movie about her in the past. It was just silly to me. Like, make a real movie with her.
I don't think Marvel wanted a Black Widow movie. I think it was just the answer to, like, oh, DC's made some money with Wonder Woman. We got our own one. Let's just do that. They should have, if they really want to do it, they would have done one time ago. Or made into, I think it should have probably been a series. I probably enjoyed it a bit more. And we all know there was no like, you weren't scared like, oh no, what's gonna happen? I hope she survives, because
the whole thing just felt kind of pointless.
Yeah.
I definitely, from the perspective of the fact that you're making a movie about a character that is deceased in the storyline, so. From that perspective, definitely completely agree. I actually really enjoyed the movie, though. I really liked what they did with Red Guardian. I thought it was a really cool character. And I think Black Widow as a character in general, as far as the Avengers go, to me is one of the more compelling Avengers, just because she's a regular human and not someone who, has, ability to fly and, shoot laser bolts, whatever. And I thought it was definitely a missed opportunity the way they handled Taskmaster, especially if you're very familiar with the Taskmaster character from the comics. But overall, I actually enjoyed Black Widow, and I think there's so few, like, how many superhero films are there nowadays with female leads, right? It's kind of Wonder Woman and Black Widow as far as like the blockbusters are concerned. And Wonder Woman 1984 was so bad. Like, I don't know what you guys thought about that film. The first film I thought was fine. The 84 was just unwatchable. So again, not really agreeing or disagreeing with you, Anthony, so much as just saying I actually like Black Widow, and I thought they had an opportunity to do more there. And to your point, it seemed like just too little too late in some ways. With that.
I think the timing was off. I think if you didn't already know what happened, then there would have been a chance to get a little bit more invested and then, like, carry on the storyline. But we're all like, okay, well, this was it. We knew what happens now. So,
definitely. And
standalone, great film. The timing was poor.
Yeah. So, are there any shows? And again, I'll start first because I know I didn't ask you guys this question coming in, but things you're really looking forward to for 2022. So for me, definitely, obviously, Book of Boba Fett is probably my most look forward to show, even though it's already started. But a show that has a very special place in my heart for a number of reasons, but particularly because it is a show that I love that Julie hates, is a show called Raised by Wolves. Have you gentlemen watched?
No, I've not seen it. No, heard of it. No.
Anthony, you ever watch it?
I don't know it.
Okay, it's on HBO Max, and it's science fiction, super hard science fiction. And the basic premise is you have these people that are trying to. There's some kind of cataclysmic event, and they're trying to repopulate this planet. So they send these robots or androids to this planet with baby embryos, with the idea that the robots are going to raise the children and repopulate the world. And that's like a very small piece of it. But I think it's an amazing show. Season 1 was in 2020, I believe.
Yeah.
And season 2 is coming out in 2022. Julie, what do you give us
trash. It is trash.
Oh wow.
So to add on to what Swanka said, it has all of the great, characteristics of a good sci-fi TV show. So it's Earth cataclysmic event, but the twist is that there are two factions fighting each other. It's Christians versus atheists. And so that is the driving that's the driving conflict between the show, because obviously the droid, not obviously, but the droids, the robots who are taking care of these embryos, they're atheists. They have no belief system. But then, the Christians come into view and they think these are abominations. And so that comes in, that's the conflict in the show. But then, the planet that they're on is just improbable, and then they're just bringing in so many, without trying to spoil it, because in the event that anyone hasn't spoiled, although I don't know why, there's just the twist at the end. It's hard to understand. It just really muddies the water with what's already going on. It just feels like one too many elements was added to try and create an interesting storyline. And then it just, for me, it ends up being so ridiculous by the end that I was like, this was, no.
I understand why she would have that conclusion. What I will say to our audience and to both the Anthony and Stephen as well, is if you always... So Ridley Scott, right, director of Alien and many of the best films ever made, right? He's one of the writers on the show, and his son is one of the writers on the show as well. And Ridley Scott has kind of gone on record to say that he's less interested in aliens at this point as much as he is in sentient life, and how if we can actually create androids that are basically able to do everything humans can do, at what point do they start wanting to have their own wants and needs and desires, all that kind of stuff. He's very fascinated by that. If you were also fascinated by that kind of thing, this show explores that, like the idea of androids gaining sentience, and what point does the robot end and the human aspect of it begin. So my most look forward to show in 2022. I specifically want to mention that to hear Julie say her counterpoint. the full story there, but
we've had fighting words a few times.
Anything in 2022 you guys looking forward to? We'll kind of end there, I think. Once you guys,
I think for me, go Julie.
Okay, so it's a third of so it's a book trilogy by Philip Pullman, His Dark Materials. It's on HBO. It was a book that I read when I was a lot younger. I think it came out when I was probably late teens, early 20s, or at least that's when I read it. It's a beautifully constructed fantasy world, but it is a parallel world to our own, and so the two overlap, the two interact. They unsuccessfully made it into a movie several years ago with Daniel Craig and Nicole Kidman. They did not finish the trilogy, but this series has just really, I'm all about the cinematography and the set design and the costumes, and they have done a beautiful job of capturing this world. And so this last season 2, took place in yet a third. It wasn't an alternate universe. It's just another parallel. It's just a place that we can't get to from here that looks nothing like our own. And they just did such an amazingly beautiful job of capturing it. And it's like a coming of age story. And so the third is really going to finish this, the protagonist, her name is Lyra. And it's just, you know, it's going to finish this beautiful story. And I've wanted to see this for years, and I'm so glad that they were able to finish it successfully. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then also next month, same thing, another book trilogy that I just adored. It's called The Discovery of Witches. It's a vampire and a witch who fall in love. So it sounds like it could really go the way of Twilight, but it's a much more adult storylines. And so that one, the first series, or the first episode of the final season starts this week. So
I'm afraid I can't do that for you.
Siri thought something was going on. Sorry.
For me, it'll be Atlanta, season 3. I'm just excited to see these characters come back, because when it first aired, I can't remember what year it was, but they were all unknown. You know, like Eve Stanfield, Brian, Henry, Zazie Beetz, they were all new, and they've gone on to do, you know, big films, you know, Oscar-worthy movies, and to see them back together in this film, Donald Glover writing again, and it's going to be set in Europe, so hopefully it's something.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, they're going. I think they're going like on a tour.
Oh wow, okay.
A Euro tour. So you know, the whole shenanigans is gonna go through with this one. So I'm looking forward to see it. I think it comes out in March. So yeah,
it does. It does. They just put out the poster like last week, I think. Did Teddy? This is a deep cut, but did Teddy Perkins die last season? Is the character still alive?
I think he's still there. I don't think they got rid of him. Or if he did, they'll find out that he lied and didn't actually die. Sorry, I'm spoiling for people who've never seen the show, but find out he didn't die. It's a conspiracy. I don't know, but I personally don't want the character to return. I think they should just not overuse that particular character. But if he does, I think it'll be. I think if they do, they'll bring it in a very interesting way. I'm just looking forward to see these guys. They feel like old roommates I haven't seen for a while, so I just can't wait to see where they're going with this one.
Yeah, no, I'm hyped for that too. I actually totally forgot about that one. That's definitely on my list for 2022, 100%. Yeah.
And also Casey in the comments, hoping Avatar 2. Yes, I have been waiting for them to continue Avatar.
What, Dance of the Wolves?
I walked out of the theater.
We've been waiting so long for those at this point. It's almost like a joke that it's just like taking. I mean,
we're going to have to recast them before long, because they might be. I mean,
I think they got to be waiting. They got to be waiting for some technological breakthrough. James Cameron's no dummy. You know, it's no coincidence that the best 3D we've ever seen in theaters was like 12 years ago. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Avatar is the best 3D still that I've ever 100%. Seen. And it's, you know, how long ago. My bet is, you know, he's waiting for something new to blow our minds, which I think theaters need in general right now to get people back. We need breakthrough technology. We need something to get people off their couches. And I hope Avatar is the one that does it.
Yeah, we're ready to be wowed again.
Yeah, I think so. And I also want to say, as far as TV for 2022, my first one, I'm with Julie. His Dark Materials. I was actually a fan of the first movie. I think it was in like 2007. And like Julie said, it was supposed to be a trilogy. I think they caught a lot of heat from the churches, if I'm not mistaken. And that may have had something to do with why they did not proceed. But I'm actually a season behind. I've just become too stupid, I guess is the word. Like, I've gotten too used to binge culture. So I'm like, this one has too much going on with it. Let me wait for it to finish. So I thought the first season was amazing, and I really can't wait for it to wrap up so I can go ahead and watch the whole thing. And then I think Ahsoka might be 2022 as well. It'll either be the end of 22 or early 23. But that one, Ahsoka, that's a character that's pretty near and dear to my heart. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
Me too. So one last thing I want to ask you guys about, because I feel like we should talk about it, because I'm pretty sure you guys have all seen it. But did you guys check out the Bat and the Cat trailer for the Batman?
Oh yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, That was just perfection. That was.
Yeah. So about a week ago, and it sounds like Julie hasn't seen it, but this came out about a week ago, and it's the first really full length trailer for the Batman, which makes sense because the Batman comes out. I believe is it in May?
It's March. It's March.
It's March. Okay, so it's just 3 months away. And honestly, I thought they finally, like, I already felt like, okay, whoever's behind the scenes, Matt Reeves, they know what they're doing with this character. Robert Pattinson, he knows what he's doing. Like, this looks really good. But this was the first time when you really, I saw, okay, they show fight scenes between him and Catwoman. I can't think of her name right now, but
Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz, and like those fight scenes, just a little bit they showed, I was like, wow, this is like really good fight choreography, and I think that's important, and like the tone, and just like they showed a couple of her outfits now, her Catwoman outfits, more you could see it in more detail. And I just overall, I was just blown away by it, and it just kind of confirmed what I already knew, which is I think that the Batman could end up becoming, one of the movies of 2022 if it even comes halfway to where the way I feel it's presenting itself. What do you guys think?
It definitely feels like they're getting that relationship right. If nothing else, it feels like that relationship, the nuances between Catwoman and Batman, it just feels right. I still don't know if the kid's going to be able to pull off a good Bruce Wayne. It looks like his Batman's going to be fine. The Bruce Wayne, the aesthetics look a little weird to me on that, and I just don't know. But I'm definitely going in with an open mind. He's an actor. It's not going to be the dude from Twilight in a Batman costume. He can act, so we'll see.
Absolutely. What do you think, Steve?
I agree. I agree with most of what you guys have said. I'm a little concerned, just a little bit concerned that they go way too much with because this seems to be going down the whole, like, this Batman is disturbed. He's not right in the head. He needs a hug, and they're gonna go down the rabbit hole too much and just be breaking bones and shouting at people, and I just want to see more of the, like, even the trailer, there was like a little conflict between him and Alfred. I was like, oh, what's going on there? Like, well, what did Alfred do? Well, are you gonna punch him up as well? I just hope I just hope they dial it down a little bit, and we get to see the other side, the more of the emotional side of Batman, because it's not all just breaking bones and blowing stuff up. There's other stuff to him as well, and I'm hoping we do get I don't think we're going to probably get from the trailers the Bruce Wayne that we're used to, the billionaire playboy, the guy who just has the woman beside him and Alfred to get rid of her the next day. We're not going to get that one, but I'm hoping somewhere down the line we get a smooth Bruce Wayne. But right now it's like emo Bruce Wayne at the moment, and listening to Linkin Park and all sorts. So, but yeah, so far it's my most excited film that I'm looking forward to this year. So, and being on the Riddler.
Yeah. So this one quick point I wanted to make. I've always been fascinated by the whole notion, and this is not anything. Everybody kind of talks about this, where Batman, you think about it really, in if you think about it in like literal terms, you have somebody who's mentally insane, right? His parents die and he cracks, and now he dresses up like a bat and he beats up criminals at night around the corner from his house, right?
Healthy people don't do that.
Right. Healthy people don't do that, right? But in the words of Michael Keaton, if you want to get nuts, let's get nuts. I want to see Robert Pattinson play the most fractured, crazy, like just murdering people at night Batman, because that is really what the character, think about it, really would be like in or one interpretation I could say would be like. So I'm excited about it, and I think the fact that the guy who was the sparkly vampire from Twilight might end up being the craziest on-screen interpretation of Batman, I think that's just funny also. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Are you guys going to see in the cinema? Or are you going to see on HBO Max?
Cinema. 1,000%. And plus, you got to wait 45 days, I believe. So you'd have to wait a month and a half.
They've changed it now. Yeah, they've changed it now that it's gonna.
If I recall correctly, it's coming out in theaters on whatever day in March, and then 45 days later, it'll be available on HBO Max. So I'm not gonna be able to wait 45 days. I don't know about you guys.
No.
We have a fifth guest. Who's
Oh.
our fifth guest?
This is Millie.
Hi, Millie. Oh,
Hi, Millie.
Does Millie want to share with us her picks for 2022?
Oh, she sleeps through everything. She's the worst.
Okay.
It's a terrible day to the movies.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. Well, listen, I really appreciate you guys hanging out today and sharing your input on Book of Boba Fett and all the fun madness that we have to look forward to in the new year. Thank you guys very much. And yeah, for all your entertainment needs, keep it locked to the QC at Real Quick Critic, thequickcritic.com, all that fun stuff if you want to find us on there. And yeah, this is the way.
this is the way. Thanks for having me, guys. I hope I talk to you again real soon.
For sure. Happy New Year, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.